Today we're going to be talking about what scared me most in my fight career. And it's actually a fear that has come and gone, and we'll talk about that, but we're also going to touch on other fears which I had, fears that other people definitely have. We're going to work our way up the list and then finish with the one that absolutely terrified me. I already have a very, very old episode. I think it was called Facing Fears or something like that. I'll link that up there. And this just basically talks about how you overcome fears. We're not doing that today. We're talking about what these different fears may be, and in my mind, how much they affected me. The first thing that we're going to mention, which a lot of people have issue with, is the audience around you. And I'm not gonna lie, this definitely played a part early in my career. I was very comfortable initially in a little stadium or a little arena where there are 500 or 600 people. And when I did that first jump up to 2,000 or 3,000 people, I started going, ooh, a lot more eyes on me right now. But throughout the years, I very quickly came to terms with the fact that whether it's one set of eyes or 100,000 sets of eyes, it doesn't really change who the opponent is. The opponent is the main thing that can hurt you, the main thing that is coming to defeat you. All this audience, it doesn't really matter. So yes, that affected me early on, but I got over that fairly quick and came to terms with it. The next thing, which I suppose not interestingly affects people, but it does, is the camera crews. When you go from your little local fight cards, where maybe some people have iPhones or something like that, to all of a sudden big people with cameras on their shoulders and they're filming, and you know, not only are all the people in the audience, but now there's all these eyes on you that are watching on television. For a lot of people that I've talked to, that is another factor which really scares them. For me, it was never an issue. I went, the crowd's there, whether it's 500, 2,000, 10,000, and the cameras, they don't really change anything. It's just more eyes on me, but doesn't really matter in my opinion. So for me, I mean, of course, to some degree, probably on the first big fight card, it was there, but it was never anything that really mattered. It was overshadowed pretty much by everything else that is scary. The next thing, which has become more prominent the later I got in my career, but early on, I never even considered it, is damage. Damage to the body, injuries. Could be getting injured in the ring in some stupid way, like smashing your shin and walking out hobbled. It could be broken nose. It could be the damage which you take to your brain. All of that I've become much more aware of throughout the stages of my career, more so in the last 2 or 3 years, whereas in the past I just kind of felt invincible and I was like, I don't care. That never even occurred to me. Whereas a lot of people out there who haven't fought, they message me and they say, Gabriel, I want to fight, but I'm so scared about the damage I'm going to take, specifically to the head. And that's a valid fear. It's a valid concern. Obviously, you want to have your skill level high enough so you don't end up getting dummied around. I say 3 things that you need to have before your first fight. Number 1, good enough cardio to go the whole fight, nonstop, crazy hard. If you have to pull back, then you put yourself in risk of, yes, he's still going, I'm super tired, you might get hurt, you might get KO'd. Number 2, you need to have powerful enough attacks that this guy fears you. If he does not fear you, then he's just gonna start walking through you and he'll probably get a big shot on you, which is gonna damage you. And number 3, you need to have defense, which is solid, so that when somebody does come and rush out and start bombing big punches on you, which does usually happen in early fights because people are sloppy and they don't have the technique to take their time. So you need to have defense, which is gonna hold up when somebody attacks you. If you have all of that down, then to me, the fear of injury is not as prevalent, and I guess in my mind I always felt very comfortable in those zones. So until more recently, where I just went, you know, it would be nice to get out of this career with no long-lasting damage. Now I'm a little bit more aware, and it does scare me a little bit. The next thing, which probably scares most people, which is one of the things which haunts you, is fear of failure. Just not being able to achieve something which you knew you put your heart and soul into. You go, you train, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna give it everything I have, and you're just so worried about not achieving what you wanted. That is very scary, I'm not gonna lie. But if you have a little quiet confidence inside you, and you know you put your heart and soul into something, I think that deserves a round of applause myself, as opposed to, oh, I failed, I didn't win a fight. No, you tried your hardest, and that is spectacular. From there, moving on, something that's really, really scares people is, what does everybody else think? What do they think of me? What are they gonna think of me if I lose? What are they gonna think of me if I'm not as good as I believe I am? This is something which I just worked with somebody in a Zoom private the other day on sort of tackling and not mastering, because you can't help you master that in a short period of time, but trying to walk them through what you should do and what you should understand. What I came to learn, because this was something that I really struggled with early on in my career. In the first few fights, I think it was the most prominent fear that I had. Still not the one that scared me the most, but in that early stage, it was something which was always on me, just worrying about these other people. And what I learned as I got further and further in my career, and I took a couple losses, some legit, some terrible judges' decisions, but what I realized is all the people that matter, they have your back. They don't care. I don't want to say they don't care in a negative way, but they're not going to abandon you if you lose a fight. They're not going to be like, oh, this guy's not worth the time. They're there for you, and they believe in you, and they are proud of you no matter what. Once I kind of wrapped my head around that, I went, I need to stop worrying about everybody else and just focus on myself. And that is a much healthier, easier way to go about preparing for a fight. Now, there are probably other things that scare people. You guys probably have some in your mind right now as you stop and think about them, but I want to get on to the final point. Even though I didn't touch on everything, I want to get to the final one, which scared me the most. The thing where I would lay in bed and go, oh no, what if this happens? What if this happens? And oh, it just didn't consume me in the sense that I didn't get anything done, but it was the one that was on my mind the most. What is that? I'm going to tell you right now. It was the fear of not getting my opportunity, not getting the opportunity to go as far as I could. And not because I failed, but because other people held me back. Other people did not give me the opportunity that I felt I deserved. And I'm going to give you guys a story right now and just show you how resilient I had to be to push forward. So first off, I trained and I trained and I trained. I fought and I fought and I fought. And I got to the point where K1 gave me the opportunity to fight Lerdsila. I beat Lerdsila. They said to me, win one more fight and we'll put you in a K1 title shot. I would have my chance at a K1 belt. Lifelong dream of mine. What happened after I fought Lerdsila? I had a fight scheduled. I was going to fight a Muay Thai fighter out of North America called Coke. I believe that was his name. 3 weeks from the fight, I was like, guys, we don't have any flights, any tickets, anything like that sorted. Let's get this done. They messaged me. They said, Gabriel, so sorry, K1 is shutting down. Dagger to the heart. So disappointing. But that's not the story yet. Then I go on, or not the end of the story. Then I go on and I sign with Glory. That was such a happy day when I finally got that contract signed. I'm like, okay, I moved on from K1 to Glory. This is great. I go to Glory. I have an initial fight. Fight a couple times in one night, do pretty well. I have another fight, win that. I re-sign with them. I go and fight in a contender tournament where you have to fight 2 times. There are 4 people in that tournament. I win it all. That gives me a title shot for the Glory belt. Basically, #1 in the world, what I'd always wanted to achieve, so close to my goal. And I won that in June or July of 2014. Time ticks by. All of a sudden we get to the end of 2014. It's been 6 months. I have not had a shot. Glory puts on some fight cards, but they're doing very infrequent ones. And then in the new year of 2015, there's this big pause. No events early in the year. And I'm going, oh my gosh, they're gonna shut down. Nobody would get back to me. Nobody would message me and tell me what was happening. I go, This is awful. I'm not gonna get the opportunity. I defeated Lerdsila. They told me title shot was coming up. Ripped away. I come to glory, I win the contender tournament, one fight away from achieving my dream. It's gonna get pulled away. Fortunately, they rebounded, they got some more money from investors, and I got my title shot, I won my title. But what scared me the most was not having the opportunity to test myself, to try and achieve my dream. I hear of some fighters who get so close to the title, so close, they fight for it after years and years of sweating and blood and tears, all of that, and they don't win. And they were that close. I could wrap my head around that. I could wrap my head around giving it my best shot. What I did not want to happen was never to have the chance, the opportunity to do what I believed I could do, which was become number one in the world. I know there are many people out there who have this same fear. It might not be in the same level of which I achieved, where you're like, oh shoot, I got to the top. But there are many of you guys out there who want to get to these big promotions, and you're fighting on local cards or maybe some national fight cards, but you don't know how to make that jump, and you don't know if you're gonna get a shot to test yourself and climb those ranks, because the promoters don't really go scouting the way that you want. And there's no set tournament style like in tennis or golf or something, where you just show up at a tournament, maybe a local one, and if you win that, you can move on to this next one. And if you win that, you can move on to the next one. There's nothing like that in the fight world, where you're guaranteed a shot if you start at the bottom. And that is terrifying. What can you do about it? Well, you've got to stay positive, first of all. You have to not stop training every time somebody rips your dream away from you. But you can also start learning which promotions are the big ones, which are the best. And then you can go a tier down from that and learn what are the intermediate promotions where these guys are taking a lot of fighters from. You can go to there and you can try and win belts so you get noticed. Or if you want to get to those mid-tier promotions, you start down at the small ones and you go, who are these guys snagging from? And you just look for a way to climb the ranks, or a gym that has connections, or some way to get to the top and have that opportunity to achieve your dream. Anyway, I wanted to share this with everybody because I know everybody has different fears. A lot of people have asked me what my fears are in the fight world, and that was the one that was awful. Now, it's not so much of a fear because I've achieved what I wanted. And now at the end of my career, I'm going, yeah, I want another belt for the shelf, and I'll get another belt for the shelf, but it doesn't really affect anymore my chance to be able to do something which I really want to try, but I don't have that opportunity. The opportunity will be there. And it's just a matter of me having another fight, another 2 fights, get that belt, and then continue my career until I feel like, you know what, it's time to stop this. But I'm so grateful that I did get the opportunity, and there's so many people out there who helped me get to that point, who took the time to support my career, and I'm so grateful for that. Anyway, that was a long-winded story, basically to tell you guys my biggest fear was not having the opportunity. And for anybody out there thinking about what else could be scary, or what am I going to do with my fight career, my dad told me years ago, the thing you will regret the most is not trying. That was also very scary, I'm sure, for many people. When you look back and you go, shoot, I walked away, I didn't try for whatever reason, but that was never in my DNA because it was ingrained in me from such a young age. Try, 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 try. If you fail, that's fine, but don't just sit down and roll over and play dead and pretend it's not going to bother you down the road. It will. So, if you guys enjoyed today's episode, you found it helped you in some little way, please give the video a like. If you haven't already, join the channel, get subscribed. As always, guys, train hard, stay positive, and I will see you back here soon for another video.